Okay, breaking news. Well, not breaking news. This actually happened yesterday, but the Philadelphia Eagles released outside linebacker Eric Wilson. Good. Good news for us. This offseason, the Minnesota Vikings decided to move on from Eric Wilson after having a career year, really, for the Minnesota Vikings. 2017 UDFA out of Cincinnati. The Minnesota Vikings played 4 years with the Vikings, starting in 2020 with the Vikings after Anthony Barr obviously suffered with his injury. Eric Wilson filled in that role and had an amazing year in 2020. On top of that, 2019, he also had a good year as well. So just under the Mike Zimmer defense has done a great job. Under Andre Patterson's defense, we'll call it now because Mike Zimmer's not going to be here anymore. Under Andre Patterson's defense has done a great job. And really a lot of defensive players, that's what they need. I mean, you saw what happened with Everson Griffin. When he went away, he did not look good with the Lions, didn't look good with the Cowboys, came back with the Vikings, and now is our best defensive end after, obviously, what happened with Danielle Hunter, which you hate to see it because Danielle Hunter is one of the best pass rushers in the league, and to see him go out, maybe the most underrated pass rusher in the league as well, to see him go out, we really need this 34-year-old. We're relying on Everson Griffin right now, but we won't be if we bring in Eric Wilson. This is good news for the Vikings. Eric Wilson was released by the Philadelphia Eagles after just 8 games. I mean, you don't see that very often where players just halfway through the season are already released by the team. I'm assuming they were trying to trade Eric Wilson, and obviously Philadelphia Eagles aren't competing for a playoff run right now. I mean, their division is locked down by the Cowboys and not going to really be taking a wild card spot. And if they do, they're kind of where the Vikings are sitting at, where they can play for a wild card spot. Maybe they'll get a 7 seed. Who cares? They're not going to make a Super Bowl, so it doesn't matter. So they released Eric Wilson because they had no intent of bringing him back after he was on a 1-year contract and now is a free agent, and Vikings can pick him off of waivers. Why would they want to? Because we need to. I mean, you take a look at the linebackers for the Vikings right now, and that's really been one of the worst weak points on this Vikings defense has been the linebackers. Obviously, the Vikings corners have been the biggest disappointment, but when you take a look at the Vikings linebackers, this is the reason why the Vikings are so bad against the run. I believe it's 120 rushing yards allowed per game, which is god awful. That's in the 20s, one of the worst in the NFL. And this mainly has to do with their outside linebackers. Nick Vigil may have started off the season doing pretty well, but as of lately has not done great. And obviously, our corners cannot tackle as well. So you take a look at it though, that's what Eric Wilson was good at, was being able to stop the run is what we needed him for, which is why the Vikings can bring him back and have the option to do so. Eric Wilson in 2020, like I said, this was his career year, started 15 games with the Minnesota Vikings, getting 122 total tackles, leading the Minnesota Vikings in tackles, 8 pass deflections, 8 tackle for losses, a forced fumble, 3 interceptions, and 3 sacks. So just an incredible defensive stats right there. Eric Wilson and Harrison Smith were the only players who played 16 games with the Vikings defense in 2020 who actually looked good. The rest of the players just, especially at the corners, everyone just didn't look good. The Vikings defense in 2020 was terrible, and it's good to see a lot more veterans play with the team this year, even though we do have Bashaud Breeland starting. Overall, our defense is looking a lot better. It's nice to see Xavier Woods step in as well to the starting role and look as great as he's looking. So Eric Wilson can be one of those players that the Vikings can sign off of free agency, bring him in and be that outside linebacker that the Vikings have been missing. Anthony Barr right now is questionable to play during Sunday's game against the Baltimore Ravens. He is questionable to play, and Anthony Barr obviously has been missing more and more games, and then we have to see Blake Lynch come out there. I mean, Ryan Connolly come out there. You don't want to see these guys play. You just don't, because we've seen them play and you don't want them on the field, let alone on your roster as a whole. So this is why you need to bring Eric Wilson in, and expected cap will be around 1 to 2 million for Eric Wilson. Just sign him on a 1-year contract, give him another chance to prove himself. If the Vikings do so, which they can, I mean, Vikings have 5.2 million in cap space right now. If they bring him in, they'll obviously have to cut someone to make room. I mean, you can just cut Luke Stalker, your tight end that really has been doing nothing. I don't know why he's even on your roster when you have Brandon Dillon, who you drafted in the 5th round. Don't understand why he's on your roster. But Vikings should bring in Eric Wilson to be that outside linebacker that we have been missing. He would be a backup to both both Nick Vigil and both Anthony Barr, but could step into the starting role when we do see Anthony Barr go down with another injury. On top of that, I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it. This is going to be Anthony Barr's last season with the Vikings. It just have to be. They voided his contract through 2022. They voided it through 2023. He has the options to still play with the Vikings. Why would he want to play with his defense? Why? I mean, Mike Zimmer is going to be gone. Mike Zimmer was the guy who drafted him. He was actually the first draft pick Mike Zimmer had was Anthony Barr. And 9th overall, not a great draft pick when you look at it, especially when Aaron Donald was sitting out there for you to grab. But as a whole, this will likely be his last season with the Vikings. And after that, you're going to have to be looking to maybe the draft to get another linebacker, this next free agent class when it comes to linebackers. it actually looks pretty good. I mean, isn't Von Miller like, oh, Von Miller was just traded to the Rams though. So you have some outside linebackers you can actually find in this next free agency class, and maybe they'll want to come and play with the defense because usually defensive guys want to play here. But when it comes down to it, Anthony Barr will not be one of those players who wants to play here, even though Eric Kendricks is his guy. I wouldn't expect Anthony Barr to be back with the Minnesota Vikings in 2022, which would be why it would be nice to see Eric Wilson come in and maybe if he looks even close to how he did in 2019, 2020, that's the Eric Wilson that we're looking for. I mean, 35.2 PFF grade in just 8 weeks with the Philadelphia Eagles. Terrible. I mean, their defense as a whole has just been bad, and Eric Wilson was not able to carry them. Anthony Harris, though, has been playing amazing with the Philadelphia Eagles. You love to see it. I hate the Eagles, but I will always cheer for former Vikings, who I appreciated playing with the team. Anthony Harris and Eric Wilson, both unrestricted free agents for the Vikings that are now, well, were with the Philadelphia Eagles now that Eric Wilson is released. He is, when he clears waivers, Vikings will be able to sign him, and hopefully we do see it happen. This is something you see a lot where Vikings like to bring back their guys. Obviously, you saw this with Stephen Weatherly, and you saw this with Everson Griffin as well, and hopefully now with Eric Wilson. Let me know what y'all think.